I forgot to go over the stereo EP cabinet simulator for the vintage effects when I was covering all the guitar cabinets and stuff way back when. With this effect, you can choose different types for different models, and those same models can be found in EP1. That's where they're getting them. You have the Tine I, Tine II, Reed 200 and 200A. Now, these are EP models. These are full modeled pianos with their EDS engine, but just the cabinet itself and the drive, well, we'll talk about that more in a second. Those are available as effects in stereo, which is nice. So you don't have the, what is it, 3, and then they have like a special name for that fourth one. You don't get 5 and DMP, but you do get 1 and 2, and then the 200 and 200A cabinets. Now, if you look at the original EP1, you have this drive parameter, and I'm not sure if this is, I think this is per piano type, and I think it might be the same kind of drive depending on if you're using the Rhodes or the Whirly or the Tine and the Reed. And what leads me to believe that is if I move this parameter and I switch to the other Reed, that parameter does not change. But then if I switch to a Tine, you see that that drive parameter does change. But between, I'll move this all the way up, between the Tines, that parameter will stay the same. Now, if the drive circuit is different depending on which cabinet type you choose, I don't know. I have a feeling it's not like that. If you turn this up, it'll stay the same no matter which kind of cabinet you're using, whether it's a Tine or Reed. Let's look at the responses of these cabinets, because they're really good. In fact, they're better than the guitar cabinets. So I will throw noise through that. Let's look at the spectrum analyzer. Let's turn it on. So this Tine 1 seems to be like the deepest sound, like it has the least amount of high end. And then I think in order it goes like Reed 200A, then Tine 2, then Reed 200, in order from like least bright to most bright. So listen to Tine 1, and then I'll switch to Reed. And Tine 2. So you can see there's kind of a natural progression. Again, I'll do it with just the mouse wheel this time. And if you notice, the detail in the response curve is really good, and that's what you're looking for when it comes to cabinet simulators. So you can see like all these fine details up here. In contrast, if you look at the guitar cabinet simulator, it's just broad sweeps. It does not have that same level of detail. There's a lot of different flavors, for sure, but there's just not, the quality of the emulation isn't quite as good. I consider the guitar cabinet as more of like an EQ, like you can use it to fit things together in the mix, like kind of band limit things, which you should be doing when mixing anyway. But if you want a nice cabinet simulator, then this is good. The other thing that's really good about this is that the drive circuit not only boosts distortion, but it turns down the volume of the input signal. And the way to notice that is to look at these meters. So let me grab a drum track, and let me grab a drum program real fast. There we are. So let's hear this. We gotta drop it an octave in order for it to sound right. So we're about at 0 here. Let's turn that on. We're a little bit below 0 now, but let's give it some drive. All the way up. You notice an increase in volume, but we're really peaking at the same spot. So these secondary meters right here, the stupid graphic wouldn't get in the way, that's measuring average. So that average should go up with the drive, but if I turn it back down, the average falls a little bit. So this is a really great unit for adding volume and flavor without adding a lot of I should say for adding average volume, essentially compressing the signal instead of adding like a lot of volume with distortion. And if you want to look at the quality of a really good amp, let me go here and bust this thing out. And I'll move this down. And let me turn this off real fast. Nice flat response. And let me minimize the Kronos. Let's turn this thing on. So again, you can see the really fine details. And this is definitely the best amp simulator that I've ever used, this Marshall by Softtube. They have a lot of really good amps. And I think that's it for this effect. So, yep.